Welcome to this session on the 2 years after I left PayPal, but was still in the US. So those were the years 2002, 2003. And for one of those years, I joined Infosys. And for the other year, I was at Stanford as a Reuters Digital Vision fellow. So we'll talk a bit about each of those. So now in Infosys, I joined Infosys in their Fremont office in California, in the Bay Area. And the main reason I joined them was that Infosys told me that they were moving towards trying to establish thought leadership in areas. And I felt that I could help them in the payment area. Because one of the reasons why I had left PayPal was the divergent view that I had that PayPal should actually build a white label product which banks could use. So maybe I could help Infosys build that product. So that was the reason I joined them. Now, Infosys was keen to get me on board because they were thinking of building a BPO business. So far, Infosys had not got into the business process outsourcing area. They were primarily a information technology outsourcing kind of company, which did software, but it didn't do internet information technology enabled services or BPO. So they wanted to do BPO, and in BPO, banks and financial services companies were very likely to outsource. So as they tried to set up that business, they wanted me to help with that. So I agreed on it, but at the same time, I was trying to pitch for trying to get a product developed around, which would be a white label version of PayPal. So it soon became clear to me. I enjoyed my time with Infosys, learned a lot about the company, and when I did return to India in 2004, I bought some of the stock because I was pretty sure that the direction that they were going in would be quite good. And later on, I sold the stock and did make some gain. So it's, what it became clear to me was that Infosys was really a services company and not a product company. They did have a few products at that time, like a platform called Finacle, which was marketed to banks, but they were not keen to build that business. And after several attempts, I finally got the CFO to explain to me that if, say, Infosys invested, say, $1 million in building a product, that would be negative towards their earnings, and the effect on market cap could be quite substantial. So they would say that if there was a company that they said that they wanted to build a white label version of PayPal, then Infosys would build it for them. Maybe that company would own the intellectual property, or that could be negotiated, but they didn't want to build a product and then sell it. So it became clear to me that that was not an area that I was interested in, and Infosys would not be the vehicle for this type of product that I wanted to build. So I decided to think of leaving Infosys. And while I was doing that, I happened to hear about this fellowship at Stanford, which was called the Reuters Digital Vision Fellowship. And that talked about how it wanted fellows who would spend a year at Stanford and work on trying to bridge the digital divide through ICT, which was information and communication technology. So this was an area which interested me a lot. I applied to this program, and you could apply either as an independent fellow, where the program didn't pay you anything, but you didn't have to pay the program anything either. And then there was a category of fellows who were basically from uh, other countries, maybe like Kenya, from or even from the developed world, um, uh, who were not independent. I mean, that they were supported by the program. So I applied as an independent fellow, and the uh, person who ran the program, this was the first year the program was going to be run, was quite keen to get me. I wanted to work on how developing countries could build their financial infrastructure. So, you know, physical infrastructure is a thing that a lot of people understand, like roads and airports and so on and so forth. But financial infrastructure were things like ATMs, credit bureaus, payment systems, and so on. So I felt that a lot of development could be accelerated if a country had a very robust and good financial infrastructure. So that's what I wanted to work on, but he convinced me that this particular program actually needed some kind of a project. So we brainstormed certain projects, and then I submitted a project proposal, which was how we could use the internet to facilitate direct market linkage between people who made products like artisans in India and consumers in the US. So that was the project which was approved, and I was invited to join as a digital vision fellow. And I spent a year at Stanford University, and that was probably one of the best years of my life because I really enjoyed my time, and I had never studied at a US university. And I got an appreciation of why US universities are such great places. Um, so I was interacting a lot with the faculty. I saw how Stanford University had collaborated with industry and was doing some very cutting edge research. I was also able to audit classes, so I could attend any class that I wanted from any school, like the MBA school or whatever. And I was able to do this for free as long as the professor who was running that program allowed me to audit the class. Also, I had the status of a visiting faculty, so undergraduate students could work on my project and get credit for the work that they did, and I could grade them on their work. But the most interesting part of this program was what was called the fireside chats, which we had every Wednesday afternoon. And this was just, there were about 12 fellows, and people would drop in and chat with the fellows. And the people who dropped in were people like the founders of Google, the founders of Grameen Phone, among others, the CTO of Intel. So very, very interesting people. And all of us, the fellows, were also all working on pretty interesting projects using technology and communications to improve lots of areas, primarily in the social sector. So it was also very interesting to interact with a lot of the fellows. So that's all for this session. Thank you for listening to me. The story will continue in one more session, which will conclude this part, and then this story will continue after my move to India in 2004, where we will go into some of the things that I tried to do towards disruptive innovation in India, and what were my experiences. Some of them were minor successes, quite a few of them were failures. but we can learn from success as well as learn from failure, and the effort for truly making disruptive innovation an integral part of things in India continues. And so I think some of you may find those sessions as well quite interesting. Thank you.